Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom. We are in the double parshiot again with Behar Behukotai this week, and there is something in our second parsha, sort of the second half of our double parshiot, Parshat Behukotai, that may have already caught your attention that I wanted to talk a little bit about. And that is, of course, the big section on curses. There are two famous sections of the Torah that are just full of curses. One here at the end of the book of Leviticus, which we find in chapter 26, and another towards the end of the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 28. Both of them are known as the Tochechot, the great rebukes. And funnily enough, this word tochecha does not actually occur in either Leviticus 26 or in Deuteronomy 28, but these two passages are known as the tochechot, the great rebukes. So first, let's take a look at their similarities, and then we'll talk a little bit about their differences. So to begin with, they each open with similar phrases. Leviticus opens up this curse section with the phrase, Ve'im lo tishma'u li velo ta'asu et kol hamitzvot ha'ele. But if you do not obey me, right, God is speaking, but if you do not obey me and do not do all of these mitzvot, all of the following mitzvot, and Deuteronomy opens up the curse section by saying, "V'haya im lo tishma b'kol Adonai Elohecha lishmor la'asot et kol mitzvotav." ... But if you do not obey the Lord your God, to keep and to do all of these mitzvot. So each are using this phrase, if you do not obey God. That's one similarity. And they both use exile from the land of Israel as one of the key punishments. In Leviticus, the exile is caused by a lack of Shemitah. If you've been reading through the Parsha, this word is familiar to you. Shemitah, a lack of resting of the land. Shemitah is the resting of the land, the seventh year. So in Leviticus, these curses and punishments are caused by not resting the land, which is absorbing the sins of the people. And in Deuteronomy, the exile is seen as a broad punishment for not keeping the commandments. But where they differ, however, is where things get interesting. Leviticus sees the punishments as increasing in severity, a kind of twisted Annie Oakley scenario, if you've ever seen Annie Get Your Gun, kind of a standoff between God and the Jewish people, anything, or the people of Israel, children of Israel, anything you can do to me, I can do back to you, but worse, and we're going to keep escalating. Whereas Deuteronomy comes in like a sledgehammer. If you don't follow my laws, God is saying, the punishments will come in all at once, and you're not going to know what hit you. Leviticus also ends with God remembering the covenant, the breach between God and the people of Israel. And Leviticus sees this covenant, this breach that exists between God and the people, as permanent, as evergreen. Deuteronomy, on the other hand, has a very pessimistic ending. It imagines the complete and total destruction of the children of Israel, as a consequence of not following God's laws. And we see this very clearly in the language. The root shin mem dalid, wiped out, is used over and over again in Deuteronomy chapter 28, in verses 20, 24, 45, 48, 51, 61, and 63, 7 times. You will be wiped out, destroyed, disintegrated. That's it. No more children of Israel. You really messed up. So what do each of these curse sections teach us? What does it teach us that both of these are present in the Torah? What are we supposed to learn from them? Are they talking about the same people? Which set of punishments will happen? It's kind of stressful not to know. It's a big difference. Does this mean that there is something wrong with the Torah? The answer that I have, at least, is no. I don't think that it means that there is anything wrong with the Torah. And what I love about looking at the differences, at the similarities and the differences in the sections of the Torah that may ring a bell to us, that may seem like they are repeating, I don't see them as threatening, but they represent to me the wide and beautiful spread of Jewish thought, the different ways that Jews today see the Torah and as well approach setbacks and failures. We might characterize the Levitical way of seeing the punishments and the relationship with God, seeing those punishments as hopefully maintaining relationship even as things get rocky, and of seeing failure or missteps as an opportunity to stop, to pause, to reset. Whereas we might characterize the Deuteronomic way of seeing the punishments as what happens when we really mess up. That sometimes the reality is that we can't salvage the relationship. Sometimes some steps really are too far over the line. But as we enter into Shabbat in these last books of Leviticus, no matter where we find ourselves, may we take this opportunity to strengthen our relationship and our connection with our Jewish selves, with our Jewish practice, whatever that looks like. Enjoy your Shabbat meals. Take a moment to make kiddush, rest your body and your spirit, and come back to the world a little more refreshed than you were before. Shabbat shalom.